Welcome to the program. My name is Vince Nigro. On Insights today, Vince Casparo, MP for Eglinton Lawrence. He is also the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of State combating crime. We talk about the crime situation, not only in Toronto, Ontario, across the country, the economy, and a whole host of other things that will affect you. Vince Casparo on Insights. Vince Casparo, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Vince.
So Mark Carney met with Trump in the last couple of days, second time, and I thought it was a fairly significant meeting. I thought it had a lot more legs than the previous one. I thought that Trump was a lot more contained, even though you can never contain the guy. And I think the Prime Minister brings a lot of stability to the situation. Even Polyev has kind of backed off and has kind of given him a pass from the standpoint, let's see how it could work. These meetings with Trump and the border, and they talked about tightening up the border and all that kind of stuff that implements tariffs. Not to go into specific details, the meeting between Carney and Trump in terms of the border, it's tighter going into the States. I'm finding more and more people finding it very, very difficult to go into the States in terms of getting stopped, looking at their cell phones, et cetera, et cetera. Coming north of the border, they've tightened up yet, but still a work in progress because of our border is such a large border, and we're trying to do some catch up there. Do you think that the border situation and criminals looking at Canada as a little bit more of a weaker situation are taking advantage of it? Or do you think we've tightened up our situation here?
I think we've gone a long way to tighten up our borders, Vince. We've invested more money over the last 6 months into our border that I think is going to be very critical in making sure that our borders continue to be strong and get stronger. Right. And the fact is, if someone wants to come into our country, there is no right for someone to be able to enter our country. And we need to continue to have strong laws that ensure that people who are coming into our country are good actors and aren't coming here to cause dissent, right, and are coming here for good purposes. And I think that is absolutely critical. You touched on stability. Stability is absolutely key, and making sure that there is stability in our rules and regulations in terms of who's allowed to come in and who isn't is maintained. And the resources that we're putting into our borders, the technology that we're deploying at our borders. I was blessed to have a tour of the Gordie Howe Bridge, which will be the new
Windsor.
The new bridge that will allow folks to come across our border with the United States, is state of the art. And while we're chatting, I want to thank the men and women at the CBSA, Canadian Border Services, for all the great work that they do to keep us safe.
Vince, I know, just a last point on this topic. I know that you worked hard meeting with the Chief of Police in Toronto. You met with a lot of local police, whether it's in Toronto and Ontario, across the country. Mm-hmm. When you meet with, say, the Chief of Police in Toronto and some of these other local forces, do you feel that they're looking to you to give them a lot more, not even assurances, but knowing that you got their backs, that, as you said, it's up to the municipalities to, when you get the ball, it's the local guys. And you've heard all kinds of stuff. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they won't show up, that kind of stuff there. Sure. But when you meet with people like in Toronto and other municipalities, do you feel encouraged that they are working together with the feds in the province, or do you find that there's a little bit of a disconnect sometimes?
Well, I can't speak to previous federal governments. What I can speak to, though, is our government is very
hands-on
when it comes to combating crime. And I think every police chief I've met with greatly appreciates it. And they are very pleased that we are passing the legislation that we're passing. The Strong Borders Act, for example, I touched on it earlier, has the endorsements of all the major police associations. That just gives you a sense in terms of the effort that we're putting in to engage with our police forces across the country. They're on the front lines. I've been on 2 ride-alongs with the police forces or the police divisions in my riding of Eglinton Lawrence, 32 Division and 13 Division. I've seen firsthand what they go through on a day-to-day basis. It's not easy, and I want to make sure that we are giving them the tools they need, like I said before, to go after the bad guys and put them away.
That's obviously the folks that are watching this program are all basic, people that, as I said, they want to feel safe in their communities, safe in their homes. And the second thing that is this putting food on the table. Obviously we've been talking about tariffs, and at the end of the day, all these costs are going to be passed on to the consumer. They're going to pay for it, whether it's in Canada or the United States. It's basically the consumer. And you listen to all the economists, and they're saying 2026 is going to be a disaster. 2025 is getting bad. Interest rates are interesting, inflation, real estate. It's tougher out there. I mean, you can sense it everywhere I go. There's less people in restaurants. You go into these grocery stores, there are people, but not as many as there used to be. Where do you see the economy going with the Carney government in terms of moving forward, Vince?
Well, if I had that answer, Vince, I don't know if I'd be sitting here as a politician. But what I can tell you is,
let me just interject.
Yeah, sure.
I talked to a lot of politicians, and they'll always promise you the world. Even though Trudeau was there and Carney is there, there's a whole different approach to this government, I feel. There's a lot more calmness, and I think a lot of people are nervous about it. And sometimes just laying out the groundwork and letting people know that, yeah, there's going to be some rocky times coming, but there's still hope. And it's not a matter of having the answers. It's like, what's coming down the pike? I mean, this tariff thing, it's up, it's down. You got Ford talking about closing down plants because they don't support our stuff. So I think Carney still has that calmness, and that people are looking towards, because even if you've got to tighten up, as long as you got someone in Ottawa that is still kind of working to your best advantage.
Yeah, I think that's right, Vince. And ultimately, I think people voted for Prime Minister Carney because they wanted someone with his excellent resume and economic experience,
Of course.
and the stability that he brings to a very unstable world. And I think what we're seeing here is you're seeing the beginnings of us trying to make life more affordable for people. We've already cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We did that when we just got elected. It was a priority for the Prime Minister. We got rid of the consumer carbon tax, which dramatically reduced the price of fuel at the pumps. Almost 30 cents a liter decrease. And there are other measures we are taking. Pharmacare, dental care. These are still policies that we are supporting to try to bring down the costs for people on a day-to-day basis. From a housing perspective, we are fast tracking and funding the building of affordable and social housing. From an infrastructure perspective, which helps create jobs and increases productivity, the Prime Minister and Tim Hodgson, the Minister of Natural Resources, has built out a plan to streamline approvals for major infrastructure projects. These are all items that will help with affordability, help create jobs, and make sure people can afford food and can have greater success within the economy.
It's obviously you have a constituency office in Toronto. I believe it's at Bathurst and Lawrence area.
Correct. Yeah.
And you spend some time there, obviously, when you're in Toronto. The folks that come in there, what is generally the issues that you have? Is it immigration? Is it jobs? What is the general feel you get from your constituents and people that walk into your constituency office?
For sure, immigration obviously is really a big issue. Passports, citizenship, matters that need to be addressed. But it's really a wide range of issues that come up. But the number one thing I hear when people come into our office, when they email and call, send letters, that is they appreciate the hard work that we are putting into trying to unify our constituency. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 120,000 people that live in our riding of Eglinton Lawrence, and it is a large group of a large diverse group of people, and finding the commonality that we all share is, I think, is one of the number one jobs of a member of parliament, and quite frankly, is one of the number one jobs of politicians. There's a ton of hate out there in the world, people who are trying to divide Canadians, a lot of it coming from social media. And I think our job as politicians is to unite people and bring people together to work towards common goals that the vast majority of us share.
And just finally, obviously, Mark Carney and the Liberals and yourself are in a minority government, very small, little aspect of a minority, and there's still talk of calling another federal election at some point. Do you see a federal election somewhere down the line, or do you feel that the confidence is there from the folks, the Canadian people, with Mark Carney and the Liberals?
Yeah, it's a great point, Vince. And we're only a few seats shy of a majority. So at the end of the day, if the opposition can force an election whenever they like. We just got elected, 5.5 months ago. All the polling we see is that there's still a significant amount of confidence in Prime Minister Carney. But if at the end of the day, if the opposition wants to force an election, they can. I think they'll have to explain why, the Conservatives will have to explain why they forced an election.
Vince, we want to thank you very much for joining us. I know you have a busy schedule and taking some time out before question period on an afternoon to come and do this interview, and we really appreciate it and love to stay in touch and bring us up to speed on some of the future stuff that happens in your portfolio.
Great. I look forward to it, Vince. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.